Today, on the Vince Everett Ellison Show, we always talk about the condition of our schools, the condition of our children, and how bad they've gotten. There was a time in America where black people took responsibility for their children. America took responsibility. I'm going to talk about that time. We had these schools called the Rosenwald schools. And they were built by black people. And guess what? White people helped them do it. They built 7,000 schools down south, educated hundreds of thousands of black children. And they did it before Brown versus Board of Education. And we're going to talk about that type of community activism today on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. This thing started. Public education, we kind of think that it was always how it is. We always thought that the government paid for schools and parents put their children on school buses and the child went to school and so on and so forth. It wasn't always that way. Education was not a state function. Education should never have been a state function. Matter of fact, for the first 150 years of this country, education was a function of the church. It was not a function of the state. They started doing this in Europe, and they brought the model over to America, and these European countries saw it as a way of controlling their populations, the state controlling their populations, and the Americans started doing the same thing. Now, how did they do it? Well, everybody wanted their child education to have an education, and the government did something that it always does. Democrats especially are very good at this. They offered it to you for free. And it's like this old white Democrat told me down in South Carolina when I asked him, how did he get black people to vote for the Democratic Party when we know you guys are no good? And he said, son, I'll tell you if you promise not to hit me. I said, sure, man, I won't hit you. Tell me how you do it. He said, you can get an N-word to vote to drink poison if you give it to him for free. You can get an N-word to drink poison if you get it to him for free. You can get a lot of people to drink poison, not just N-words, but most people if you give it to them for free. And public education was that poison that they were giving for free. But before that, there was these schools that were owned by the community. They were called Rosenwald schools. They were interesting. They were built between 1912 and 1933 by this two people, white Jewish man and a black man. The white Jewish man's name was Julius, his last name was Rosenwald. He was the chairman of Sears and Roebuck. Yeah, that's Sears and Roebuck. He was the chairman of it. And guess who the black man was? You got it. Booker T. Washington. They came together and they built 7,000 schools throughout the South. 7,000, and educated over 600,000 children. Yes, they did. It was a testament in how societies, communities, and just the American people understood and promoted upward mobility without depending on government for it because they knew the government was tyrannical. The government was trash. Read to you about the Rosenwald schools. It says the Rosenwald schools were a network of schools built between 1912 and 1932 to educate African-American children in the segregated rural South. A collaboration between Sears and Roebuck President Julius Rosenwald and educator Booker T. Washington. The program provided matching funds. They ain't just give them the money. Matching funds for communities that could raise the remaining costs, secure land, resulting in the construction of over 5,000 schools. And they featured standard and modern designs, although many have been demolished or repurposed, some still stand today, preserving a crucial part of American history and African American educational development. The program's goals were to advance African American education. The program sought to improve educational opportunities for black children in the South by building quality schoolhouses. And it said a community partnership. Rosenwald provided grants that required matching funds. Matching funds. I mean, the black people had to raise money themselves and from local communities and county school boards, fostering community involvement. You didn't just give it to them. So how bad do you want it? The program's goals and structure to advance African American education. The program sought to improve educational opportunities. It had a widespread impact, 600,000 students, and it has an enduring heritage because so many black people back in those days were educated by these schools. Now, what happened to them? Very simply, Brown versus Board of Education. Brown versus Board of Education. Plessy versus Ferguson has been completely discredited in American history because it said separate but equal. It came up with the concept that black people and white people could have the same spaces, but they would have to be separate, like bathrooms and lunch counters and different things, but they had to be equal. And a lot of southern states grabbed hold to that, and they separate schools, separate bathrooms, separate water fountains, all kind of stupid stuff. But it came from that concept. Anyway, the interesting thing about Plessy was that Plessy said that the concept of separate but equal did not denote black inferiority. It said it. He said that if black people are made to feel inferior, it's not because of the statute. Because white people have to live up under the same statute of separate but equal, and they are not feeling inferior, so why are black people feeling inferior? Good question, isn't it? Why did black people feel inferior and white people did not? Now, the black intelligentsia, headed up on the Iron Triangle, most black preachers, most black politicians, and most black civil rights workers did what? They simply told black people they were inferior, that the white man's ice was colder, that his ice was hotter, and that your schools and your communities were not good enough for you, and we must go to court to force white people to allow us to be in their presence. And this is where Brown versus Board of Education came from. You must understand that in Brown, the southern states showed that they were in compliance. Yes, they showed that they were in compliance. That means they had equalized everything down south when it came to education. If a white school had buses, black school had buses. The books, the buildings, everything had been equalized, even teachers' salaries had been equalized. But the black people said, we want integration. The Supreme Court justified forced integration by saying, and I quote, separating black children from white children caused black children to be inferior. That's what it said. It called black children inferior. Plessy said black people were not inferior. Brown said that we were. And when that decision was handed down, black people started tearing down their own schools. I had an opportunity, just by happenstance, to run into a Rosenwald school in South Carolina. Man, I was driving, and I was looking for the interstate, and I got lost. Went the wrong way, turned up into a place that I thought was a church parking lot to turn around and come back out. Coming out of the parking lot, I looked to my right, and there was a sign, one of those historical markers. And I looked on it, and it said Rosenwald School. And I got out of my car and started reading the sign, and I said, this is a Rosenwald? I'd heard of them before, but I'd never seen one in purpose. And I took some pictures of myself there. And I was amazed. It was still standing, still looking great. And I still ask the question of myself, what was it about our leadership that made them believe that we were inferior and made them hate us so? Every other minority group in the history of the world had fought to have their own, not because they hated somebody of the other race, because they knew that in order to be successful, they would have to come together. They would have to bring their resources together, and they would have to develop their own institutions that would reflect their own communities. The Italians did it. The Asians did it. The Jewish Americans did it. The Indians did it. Black people were the only group of people that ever tried to forcibly integrate. And now you see what's happened to us. You do not become successful by destroying your own institutions. Your institutions are the things that hold you up. Family, Christianity, the arts, the music, the food. These are the things that make you strong, and then other people come to your community so they can partake in them. The same we do with them. And we all benefit from that. And I have looked throughout history, and I can only find one group of people who ever fought to dismantle their own culture. And them less so than we, and that was the South Africans in South Africa who wanted to end apartheid. But and you've seen what happened to them. You got black people in South Africa right now saying that things are better under apartheid. Yeah.
For example, our infrastructure was better. The community delivery services were much better during apartheid. Yes, there was segregation, but the government was a very well-oiled machine.
People, they think that things that used to happen back then, we're still going to experience the same things, but I don't believe that is true. How white people have been treating black people, apartheid regime, I don't think we can go back to that situation. But with our current economy, you can see that people are still voting ANC. Why they can see that they are not delivering, because of most of people, they still have that fear that if we don't vote them to power, we're still going to experience the same thing that we used to experience.
And some of them didn't really get the full impact of apartheid. That's why they be saying, no, South Africa was better off back then.
I must say the country is back better than with the apartheid era. Now it's totally messed up. The country is just going into turmoil. There's no changes. There's no difference, anything. So yeah, we're praying and hoping for a better country for all of us.
What's more?
They destroyed their culture. They actually say things were better under apartheid. As a lot of old people, black people I talk to right now tell me things are better under integration, under segregation. They tell me that. Very few will say it on camera, but you get them by themselves.
Black people, we were better off before and during segregation, before segregation.
Hold on. You know that's going to cuss. A lot of people going to be cussing us out in the comments.
Right.
That's controversial, Jordan.
Though this may be controversial, I'm going to say it anyway. Because he said I didn't say it. He basically told me that black people, we were better off before and during segregation, before segregation. And he gave me legitimate reasons why and everything. I'm going to break it down.
Hold on. You know that's going to cuss. A lot of people going to be cussing us out in the comments.
Right.
That's controversial, Jordan.
Yeah, and I'm going to explain why. Basically, the overall concept, what I saw was this, though. The black dollar was circulating in our own neighborhoods and our own communities, down to the bank, down to the grocery store, blacksmith, you name it, like your daily, whatever you need to survive or thrive in community, even in your school. What happens was, and this is how he explained it, this is his perspective, somebody lived through these times. When that ended, you saw people come in that were not black and take advantage of, guess what? The land, the property, the businesses, because, we were doing enough to survive, but we weren't quite at that space where, these people are millionaires and just, could write their own checks just yet. People are just, they're entrepreneurs, business owners are just trying to make it.
Do you think that segregation actually might have been helpful for the black dollar?
Absolutely. There used to be a time where we couldn't go to the white store. That meant we had to create our own store.
Had to.
That we owned. See, that's the thing. So we had to support
Each other.
each other.
Group economics.
Yeah, first, it's almost like a code. To me, the code is you buy, sell, and trade with folks who look like you. Period. Now, post integration, instead of going to the mom and pop shop that employs people that look like you, you go to Walmart, who owns that? You have relinquished your economic power and you don't own anything.
Do you think that was the intention to why they stopped segregation? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So we traded ownership for access. That is not a good thing. That means that you've lost your economic power and folks still don't like you.
They said there was no crime. There was nobody going to jail. Black people were poor, but they weren't stealing. They were poor, but they weren't on drugs. But everybody was poor. That wasn't a big thing. They were poor, but the families were staying together. And I recall Congressman Byron Donald just made a statement that the black family was more intact under Jim Crow than it is now. Oh, they went crazy about it. Because he just told the truth. So the integration-minded iron triangle, not desegregation, there's a difference now. What's the difference between desegregation and integration? I'll tell you very simply. You got forced segregation on this side. That means that the law will keep you separated by race. You have forced integration on this side. That means the law is going to use the same gun that kept you separated to make you come together now. And you have resistance to that. But then you have desegregation in the middle. What does desegregation say? That the law will say you can go wherever you want to. If you want to be segregated, segregate yourself. If you want to be integrated, integrate yourself. Simple. So the civil rights movement knew that, and the civil rights movement was not about desegregation. It was about integration. Why? Because it was all about who had the gun. The very same person that had the gun the day before the law was passed that supported segregation was now the same person that was now a different person that had the same gun that was supporting forced integration. And I've always been for just simple desegregation. I don't want to be around anyone that does not want to be around me. I don't want to be anywhere where I'm not wanted. I don't want to be anywhere where I am only tolerated. I don't want to be around anyone that makes me feel small. You lose your respect for yourself, and you lose the respect of mankind. And that's also an anathema to God and Christianity. You don't beg to be accepted by people that hate you. You tell them, peace out, I love you. If you come and try to hurt me, you won't hurt nobody else. So the Rosenwald schools were built. They were educating our children well. Very well. The people had a sense of community. The people built the schools. The children were learning in these schools. Unlike what they were telling you, that the schools were all beaten down and broken down. Yeah, this goes against the grain about what they were saying about Brown versus Board of Education. Schools were raggedy. Children were in subpar conditions, all of this, all that's all they show you. They don't show you these schools. And again, I just told you between about 7,000 were built. 7,000. They educated over 600,000 children. Y'all, that's amazing. And then the black community did what? Black Democrats did what? Tore it down with their own hands. Looking for something better. Isn't that the moral of every story of destruction? Adam and Eve looking for something better. Looking for something better. Abraham and Agar. Abraham looking for something better. Always looking for something better. Never taking what you have, building it up and taking care of it. And even today, it's a variation on the theme, isn't it? Black community still doing it. Won't clean up their own neighborhoods, won't make their own schools better, won't protect their own families. Now, always looking to get somebody else to come in and do it for them. Always wanting to leave. Always wanting to go to someone else's neighborhood and think that's how somehow another going to make them better. People always believing that whatever that the thing that's going to save them is outside of them, not inside of them. Living vicariously through other people. That if Barack Obama becomes president, I'm going to be proud to be black tomorrow. If one black person achieves something, that means that black is better than white. That means I'm better than you. It's ridiculous. If the Rosenwald schools teach us nothing, it teaches us that black people, like everybody else, has the ability to be great. It teaches us that people who don't look like you will come and assist you if they see that you're trying to achieve something, like Mr. Julius Rosenwald did. He said, I'll help you if I see you trying to help yourself. He didn't just give away money. He said, are you going to help build the school? Yes. Are you going to help maintain the school? Yes. Are you going to give money to the school? Yes. Then show me what you got now, and I'll help you. Tell some people that now. Well, hold it now. I just want you to give it to me. If we want to do right in the future, let us look at the past and see what we did well then. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to the Rosenwald schools. Let's go back to the family. Let's go back to the real church. Let's go back to entrepreneurship instead of asking and begging. Let's go back to education. Let's build a system that gives the children, poor black, poor white, and just give the children a good education so they can be successful in America. It doesn't have to be about race. It's not about race. It's about getting the government out of your business. It's about getting these Democrats out of your business. And when you start looking at party and what party wants to get government out of your business and the party's trying to put more government in your business, you know who's who. And I'm always amazed how black folks say they can't stand Donald Trump, they can't stand the Republicans, but they want to put government involved or have government take control of everything that's in their purview. Government-run healthcare, government-run educational system, government serving them the food, government providing their housing, government providing their protection. The same government that you say you don't trust and you hate is the one that you're fighting and you give all of your power to. Even the power to educate your children. Never seen something so schizophrenic before in my life. But I'm talking about the Rosenwald schools because it takes me back to a time that many of you don't know about because they told you this time, this history will tell you this time didn't exist, and it's a lie. It's a lie. It's kind of that dead time in American history during World War I and right before World War II. Right before the Depression hit. Around that time. Where we talked about World War I, but World War I didn't really touch America. It was basically a European war. Where America was thriving. Where we were better people. We can do that again. All we have to do is each one of us make a decision today. Today. To be better than we were the day before. You have the ability to change your life today. Not tomorrow, today. And let us start with looking at these politicians, looking at these no-good Democrats, run them out of office, making sure that we can get school choice so we can then pull our children out of these failing schools and put them in schools that will educate them properly. And I mean ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, morality, religion, ethics, learning about the government, learning about finance, so that when they become grown men and grown women, they can go out and earn a living and live what we call the American dream. And that's what the Rosenwald schools were. And we can do it again. But you can't do it with the Democratic Party. No, they believe in teachers' unions. They believe in terrible education. They believe in keeping you on the plantation. So it's up to you. Decide whether you want to be a free person or decide whether you want to be a plantation slave. It's up to you. And make your decision quick, because I'm going to hold you to it. And I'm going to hold you to it, look you in your eye, and call you who you are. And I'm going to do it every day because I'm here to wake you up. And I hope I did you some good here today. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go to my website. And on my website, you're going to see a lot of great stuff, man. You're going to see that we got T-shirts, we got caps. You got my books, my documentaries. You got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new T-shirts. We're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it. Make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good. And it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the T-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.